You look at your life and start noticing cycles that repeat with unsettling precision in the scarcity that returns. The relationships that hurt, the exhaustion that doesn't even feel like yours. There is an invisible biological loyalty keeping you stuck in these patterns, not in your mind, but physically imprinted in your fascia. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to dissolve this family karma using 3 somatic micropressures that signal to your body the cycle of pain is over. The fascia is the living archive where your ancestors' silence hardened your jaw and their fear tightened your diaphragm. If you don't learn how to access these vibrational knots, you'll keep reliving their story, living a life that's only an echo of the past. What you're about to discover is a little-known shamanic technique capable of releasing old memories that still live in your body today. Leaving this video now means accepting that these inherited patterns will continue shaping your choices and limiting your potential. Interrupting this knowledge stops you from accessing the key to breaking silent contracts that are draining your life force at this very moment. Get ready, because what we're about to unlock is not just relief, it's the rewriting of your lineage's vibrational code. Fascia is not just a structural tissue, it is the living record of your ancestry. This continuous, highly innervated veil that wraps around every muscle and organ holds the survival imprints of past generations. The hermetic principle of as above, so below shows up here in your biology. The geometry of pain, once lived by your ancestors, is now etched into the very architecture of your connective tissue. Ancient healing traditions already understood the body as a microcosm reflecting the collective history of the family. For shamans and alchemists, healing the individual body was inevitably an act of service to the entire family tree. They knew that what went unresolved in the past would keep vibrating in the body until it was transmuted. In your body, this shows up through chemical markers and chronic tension. Modern epigenetics reveals that trauma and toxic environments leave chemical tags on DNA tags that can be inherited. The fear your grandmother felt, the anger your father swallowed, all of it changes how your genes express and affects the tone of your fascia today. According to the polyvagal theory, your nervous system holds onto inherited states of alert, reacting to dangers long gone as if they were happening right now. This matters because you could spend your whole life trying to fix, with cognitive therapy, something that is actually embedded in the viscosity of your tissues. The locked jaw, the tight belly, and the stiff hips are not just personality traits, they're somatic loyalties. There is someone who felt the full weight of this inheritance, and her story will show you how it's possible to break this biological loyalty. What she went through mirrors what many carry without ever naming. Sarah, at 48 years old, worked as a nurse in a large hospital, tending to other people's pain while ignoring her own. She lived an exhausting routine, always giving everything she had, constantly surrounded by a sense of lack that didn't match her efforts. Even though she was skilled and dedicated, Sarah watched her relationships and finances collapse over and over again. Following a pattern of sacrifice she knew all too well from the stories of her mother and grandmother. Her pain was both physical and hard to pin down. A tightness in her jaw that made her grind her teeth at night, and a constant heaviness in her hips that made every step feel like she was dragging chains. She felt a deep, unexplainable guilt for wanting something better, as if thriving would somehow betray the women in her family who had suffered so much. It was an ancient sadness, faceless and heavy, keeping her from moving forward. She tried conventional therapy, meditation, and even medication for anxiety, but the relief was always temporary. The feeling of being trapped under an invisible ceiling never left. and family conflicts felt like boomerangs that kept coming back. Sarah knew, logically, she didn't need to repeat those patterns, but her body still reacted with the same fear and submission passed down through generations. It was during a quiet hospital shift that Sarah came across a text about fascial memory and family karma. The idea that her jaw held inherited silence, and her hips the blocked actions of her ancestors, struck her like thunder. That night, alone at home, she decided to try the micropressure technique. Sarah sat down, touched the joint of her jaw, and applied the gentle pressure as instructed. The moment she connected her breath with the intention of releasing that silence, something visceral happened. A wave of heat rose through her neck, and an uncontrollable urge to cry, not out of sadness but release, took over. She realized she was tapping into decades of unspoken words. What Sarah began to experience in that moment is exactly what you're about to access in your own body. The technique that unlocked her system is now ready to be applied to you. We're going to begin by dissolving the knots of silence and fear. The first micropressure targets the jaw, the place of inherited silence, where generations swallow truths to survive. The temporomandibular joint holds decades of unspoken words, of yes uttered when the body was screaming no. This is the portal where loyalty to family silence crystallized into chronic tension, waiting to be transmuted. Sit with your spine upright and gently place your fingertips on the temporomandibular joints, right in front of your ears. You'll feel a small bony hollow where the jaw meets the skull. This is where ancestral tension lives, compacted into layers of unspoken history that harden the tissue. Do not press hard. Apply subtle micropressures, as if you're gently asking the tissue for permission to enter. As you press lightly, inhale deeply through your nose and exhale through a slightly open mouth, letting the air out with a soft sound. Notice if you feel the urge to yawn or sigh. These are signs your nervous system is releasing old defenses. The vibrational intention here is, I return the silence that is not mine. Keep breathing into this point for 30 to 60 seconds. Notice if your jaw starts to drop naturally without force, as if an invisible weight is being lifted. You might feel heat rising through your neck, a pulse in your temple, or even slight dizziness. Your body is recalibrating its sense of safety. This emerging lightness is the first sign that the somatic loyalty to silence is being undone. Now, move down to the diaphragm, the place of inherited fear. Place your hands just below your sternum at the solar plexus. Apply gentle, circular micropressures, almost imperceptible, searching for the tension that lives beneath your ribs. Breathe into that space, allowing the air to reach places that once held contraction. If you notice warmth or a hint of nausea, that's the old fear being dislodged. Silently say to yourself, the fear that belonged to them can leave. The diaphragm is not just the muscle of breath, it is the vault where the terror of past generations remains trapped. When your ancestors faced real threats, hunger, violence, persecution, the diaphragm contracted to shield the vital organs. That protective contraction was never fully released and was passed on epigenetically through chemical markers in the DNA. By touching this space with clear intention, you are undoing survival contracts that no longer serve your present life. Before we complete the circuit with the hips, you need to know what happened when Sarah touched these deep points. Sarah continued breathing into the pressure points, and the feeling of betrayal for wanting to be happy began to melt into warm tears. She understood, not with her mind, but through her body, that carrying pain was not the only way to belong to her family. As she released her diaphragm, The chronic tightness in her chest gave way to a spaciousness she had never known. In the weeks that followed, the transformation was tangible. Sarah was able to set boundaries at work without the paralyzing guilt she used to feel. The dynamic with her mother shifted. She no longer responded to old provocations with submission, but with a calm, grounded presence. Her body stopped being a repeater of trauma and became a space of choice. What she felt, that lightness of letting go of a burden that was never hers, is what your body is beginning to process right now. The release that unlocked her system is happening in you at this very moment. Let's move on to the third portal, the hips, the place of inherited blocked action. This is where paralysis in the face of life resides, along with loyalty to failure or stagnation. While the jaw stored silence and the diaphragm trapped fear, the hips froze movement toward what you truly desire. Place your hands on the sides of your hips or over your iliac crests. Apply rhythmic micropressures, as if you're gently waking up the bone and the flesh. If possible, shift your body weight slightly or bend your knees, inviting movement. Feel the density in this area begin to dissolve. As you touch this space, visualize that moving forward is allowed. The vibrational intention is clear. I honor those who could not move forward by opening a possible path within myself. Notice if you feel the urge to move your hips in circles, stretch your legs, or even walk around. These impulses are life flowing back into areas that were frozen by loyalty to family stagnation. Allow your body to move in whatever way it asks, without judgment or excessive control. Now breathe deeply, integrating all 3 points: the relaxed jaw, the open diaphragm, and the awakened hips. The ritual of release is complete. You've just dissolved layers of fascial memory that were keeping you trapped in patterns that were never yours, making space for your own truth to manifest through concrete action. The physical marker that release has occurred is unmistakable, a sense of internal space, as if your skeleton now moves more freely inside your skin. You may feel your jaw hanging softly without tension, your breath reaching all the way down to your pelvic floor without resistance, or a softening in your solar plexus that once felt armored. This newfound spaciousness is not imagined. It's fascial reorganization happening in real time, dissolving the density that once bound you to inherited scripts. To anchor this new state of vibrational freedom in your nervous system, use this gesture sign. Place one hand over your heart and the other over your lower belly. Breathe deeply for 3 full cycles, sensing the vertical connection between feeling and action, between the emotion in your chest and the creative power in your pelvis. Hold this gesture for 30 to 60 seconds, allowing your body to memorize this configuration of openness. Repeat this anchoring practice anytime you need to reactivate your sense of sovereignty over your own life. The return protocol is your sovereignty tool for the coming days and weeks. Whenever you notice yourself reacting with the fear or silence of your lineage, that familiar contraction in your stomach, your jaw locking again, or paralysis when facing a decision, stop immediately. Touch the point that corresponds to what you're feeling: the jaw for silence, the diaphragm for fear, the hips for paralysis. Breathe deeply into that point and say firmly within yourself, "Only wisdom remains in me." This phrase reorients your nervous system to the present, preventing the old pattern from reinstalling itself into your tissues. The seal is complete. You have not only experienced a momentary release, you have gained access to a recalibration code you can use whenever the weight of family history tries to return. You're not just relieving muscle tension, you're becoming the turning point in your lineage. By releasing the fascia through conscious micropressures, you stop being an automatic continuation of the past and become the artisan of your own path. What's changing now is not just your life, but the vibrational memory of those who came before, and the freedom of those who will come after. You have just broken a silent contract that spanned generations. This is only the beginning of a greater alchemical work. There are deeper layers of tissue memory waiting to be explored. As your body learns it's safe to live your own truth without carrying the weight of stories that were never yours. There are other vibrational knots, other biological loyalties still dormant in your nervous system, waiting for the right moment to be released. The territory of somatic healing is vast, and you've just taken your first conscious step into it. Thomas Merton, monk and contemplative thinker, once wrote, "The greatest disaster that can happen to a human being is to remain unconscious. What you've done here is awaken your body's awareness, taking it off the autopilot of family loyalty and returning sovereignty over your responses. That is true alchemy, transforming inherited density into creative flow. God does not require you to pay a toll of inherited suffering to prove loyalty to those who came before. He invites you to manifest the unique power your soul brought, free from chains that were never yours. Releasing the body is a sacred act of returning to the original essence of who you've always been, before the layers of survival began to build." If this content resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Share this video with someone you know who's carrying invisible weights that don't belong to them. Consider becoming a member of the channel. It allows us to continue sharing deep healing practices and helps us reach more people who need this knowledge. Write in the comments, "I dissolve the family karma in my fascia, and now I breathe my own life." This affirmation marks, in the external world, the inner transformation that just occurred within your tissue. Click on the video that's now on the screen to keep exploring other layers of body memory. Each practice reveals a different portal within your nervous system. Your ancestors passed down everything they couldn't resolve: the locked jaw, the tight diaphragm, the frozen hips. They imprinted ancient memories into the fascia because they had no choice. You dissolve them through conscious micro-pressures because now you do. The difference between inheriting family karma and transmuting it is simply knowing where to touch.